Hey there, wisdom hunters. Matt here. Today we're uncovering the hidden influences that molded the Buddha's teachings. Before he became the enlightened one, Siddhartha Gautama was a seeker, driven by questions that still keep us up at night. In his quest for truth, Siddhartha encountered 5 remarkable sages from ancient India, a time when spiritual exploration and philosophical debate flourished. Each left an indelible mark on his thinking, ultimately leading to the birth of Buddhism as we know it. We'll explore these pivotal encounters, revealing how ancient Indian wisdom converged in Siddhartha's mind. You'll see how he learned, questioned, and ultimately transcended his teacher's ideas. It's like a spiritual detective story, and trust me, the plot twists are mind-bending. Our journey begins with a master of meditation who challenged everything Siddhartha thought he knew. Let's explore how this encounter shaped the path to enlightenment. Siddhartha's first stop on his spiritual journey led him to Alara Kalama, a renowned meditation master. Picture a serene forest clearing, where Alara sat surrounded by devoted students. His reputation for achieving extraordinary states of consciousness drew seekers from far and wide. Think of him as the Tony Robbins of ancient India, minus the firewalking. Alara taught Siddhartha the art of deep concentration, known as jhana in Pali, a state of deep mental absorption where the mind becomes still and focused. This wasn't your average close your eyes and think happy thoughts meditation. Alara's technique allowed practitioners to reach the realm of nothingness, a state of consciousness so profound it made your typical daydream look like a kid's coloring book. Alara's teaching gave Siddhartha the ability to enter these profound meditative states with intense focus and clarity, where the mind could become completely still, absorbed in deep concentration. However, Alara's approach focused primarily on mental discipline and achieving these altered states of consciousness, rather than addressing the deeper, existential questions Siddhartha was wrestling with. Imagine Siddhartha, cross-legged, eyes closed, his mind becoming still as a mirror-like lake. Under Alara's guidance, he learned to peel away layers of thought until reaching a state of pure awareness. It was groundbreaking stuff for the young seeker, like discovering you can change the channel on reality. It was like Siddhartha took the red pill of meditation, seeing how deep the rabbit hole of consciousness goes. When Siddhartha mastered the technique, Alara reportedly said to him, "Your mind, Gautama, is like a polished gem, clear, unblemished, and capable of reflecting the deepest truths. You have achieved what many seek, but few attain." Talk about a 5-star review. But here's where things get interesting. Despite this high praise, something nagged at Siddhartha. This state of nothingness, impressive as it was, didn't answer his fundamental questions about suffering and liberation. It was like mastering a skill without understanding the bigger picture. Alara's teachings showed him how to control the mind, but not how to free it completely from suffering. But Siddhartha wasn't satisfied. Even after mastering Alara's teachings, the key to liberation still eluded him. In a bold move that would change the course of his journey, Siddhartha thanked Alara for the lessons and decided to walk away in search of deeper answers. It was a crucial moment. Siddhartha realized that while deep concentration was valuable, it alone wasn't the key to ultimate truth. Sometimes, you've got to know when to fold 'em and when to walk away, even in the spiritual casino. Alara's influence on Buddhism? Massive. The jhanas Siddhartha learned became an integral part of Buddhist practice, but the Buddha would later teach them as tools, not ends in themselves, a stepping stone to deeper insights. It's like learning to make the perfect pizza dough, only to realize you're actually after the secret sauce of enlightenment. After parting ways with Alara Kalama, Siddhartha sought out Uddaka Ramaputta, a teacher known for his mastery of even more advanced meditative states. Uddaka's ashram buzzed with an air of mystery and profound spiritual exploration. It was like the Hogwarts of meditation, minus the flying broomsticks. While Alara had taught Siddhartha how to focus and control the mind, Uddaka's teachings went even further, exploring more subtle and refined states of consciousness. Uddaka introduced Siddhartha to a state beyond the realm of nothingness, the realm of neither perception nor non-perception. If that sounds mind-bending, it's because it is. This state pushed the very limits of human consciousness, teetering on the edge of experience itself. It's like trying to taste the color 9 or smell silence. Wrap your mind around that. Under Uddaka's guidance, Siddhartha learned to refine his awareness to an incredibly subtle degree. It was like tuning a radio to pick up the faintest signal from the cosmos, or trying to hear a pin drop in a library. On the moon. Uddaka, impressed by Siddhartha's swift progress, reportedly told him, "Your mind, young seeker, is like the vast sky, boundless and clear. You've reached a pinnacle few have glimpsed. Stay and teach alongside me, for you have matched my understanding." Talk about a job offer you don't get every day. But Siddhartha, while grateful, felt a familiar restlessness. Despite these advancements, Siddhartha realized that even this ultra-refined state of consciousness, as extraordinary as it was, didn't address the fundamental problems of existence: birth, aging, death, and suffering. While Alara had shown him how to enter deep states of concentration, and Uddaka had revealed even more profound meditative realms, neither path provided the ultimate answers to life's biggest questions. It became clear that even these extraordinary states were not the end goal, but part of the journey. In a pivotal moment, Siddhartha realized that even this rarefied state was still within the realm of conditioned existence. It wasn't the ultimate liberation he sought. With respect and gratitude, he bid farewell to Uddaka, determined to find a path beyond even this subtle realm. Our boy Siddhartha was playing spiritual hopscotch, and he wasn't about to stop until he reached the cosmic finish line. Uddaka's teachings weren't in vain, though. They showed Siddhartha the furthest reaches of concentrated meditation and helped him understand the limits of perception itself. These insights would later inform the Buddha's teachings on the nature of consciousness and the path to true liberation. It's like learning to build a rocket ship, not because you want to go to the moon, but because you're aiming for the stars. While Siddhartha never directly studied under Mahavira, their paths and ideas intersected in fascinating ways. Mahavira, the founder of Jainism, was revolutionizing spiritual practice in ancient India at the same time Siddhartha was on his quest. Think of him as the Steve Jobs of spirituality, if Steve Jobs was into extreme minimalism and never wearing clothes. Mahavira's path was one of extreme asceticism. Imagine a man who renounced not just wealth and comfort, but even clothing. Mahavira believed that the path to liberation lay in strict non-violence and the complete eradication of karma through severe austerities. It's like trying to win a cosmic game of limbo by seeing how low you can go. Siddhartha, during his wandering years, encountered Jain monks and their practices. Although Mahavira and Siddhartha never met directly, Jain asceticism had a strong influence on the spiritual environment at the time. Siddhartha observed how Jain practitioners pushed their bodies to the absolute limit, fasting for weeks, meditating in the scorching sun, even plucking out their hair by the roots. The Jain approach emphasized that liberation lay in extreme discipline over the body. For a while, Siddhartha adopted similar practices, testing whether physical denial could lead to ultimate truth. A Jain monk once told Siddhartha, "The body is a vessel of suffering. Only by breaking its hold can we free the soul. Each moment of pain is a step towards liberation. It's like trying to escape a prison by digging a tunnel with a spoon. Painful, slow, and maybe not the best approach." For a time, Siddhartha embraced this radical path, pushing his body to the brink of death through fasting and extreme meditation. But unlike Mahavira, Siddhartha ultimately rejected this path as too extreme. He realized that while these practices could demonstrate control over the body, they did not provide freedom from the cycle of suffering. It turns out starving yourself isn't the fast track to enlightenment. Who knew? Yet, Mahavira's influence on Buddhism is undeniable. The concept of ahimsa, which means non-violence and respect for all living things, became a cornerstone of Buddhist ethics. The idea that our actions have consequences, karma, the universal law of cause and effect, became central to both Jainism and Buddhism. It's like Mahavira and Siddhartha were spiritual DJs, mixing similar tracks but producing very different tunes. Siddhartha's encounter with Jain ideas led him to a crucial realization: the middle way between indulgence and extreme asceticism. He saw that torturing the body didn't liberate the mind. This insight was key in shaping the Buddhist path of moderation and mindfulness. Sometimes the secret to life isn't going to extremes. It's finding that sweet spot in the middle, like the perfect bite of a sandwich. Let's turn our attention to Kapila, the OG of dualism. This guy never met Siddhartha directly, but his ideas were like a philosophical earworm in ancient India, impossible to ignore. Kapila, the founder of the Samkhya school of philosophy, proposed a radical idea. The universe consists of two fundamental realities: Prakriti, or the physical world, nature, or matter, and Purusha, which refers to pure consciousness or spirit. Imagine a world split into the dancer and the dance, forever intertwined yet fundamentally separate. It's like trying to separate the Netflix from the chill. Technically possible, but where's the fun in that? This dualistic view challenged prevailing notions of a single, unified reality. It suggested that our suffering stems from confusing these two principles, mistaking the changes of the material world, Prakriti, for the nature of our true, unchanging consciousness, Purusha. It's like getting upset when your favorite character dies in a TV show. You're not the character, you're the watcher. Siddhartha never studied directly under Kapila, but the Samkhya school's ideas were influential in the philosophical debates of his time. A wandering philosopher, echoing Kapila's teachings, once told Siddhartha, "See the world as a grand play, young seeker. You are the silent witness, not the actor caught in the drama. Liberation comes from recognizing this eternal separation." Imagine being told you're not the star of your own life story, but the audience. Talk about an existential plot twist. Siddhartha grappled with these ideas. They offered a compelling explanation for the human condition and a potential path to freedom. The concept of detached observation would later influence Buddhist mindfulness practices, like observing your thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. It's like Kapila handed Siddhartha the spiritual equivalent of 3D glasses. Suddenly, everything looked different. However, Siddhartha ultimately diverged from Kapila's strict dualism. He saw that while distinguishing between awareness and its objects was useful, true liberation comes from understanding their interdependence, not their absolute separation. It's like realizing that while the ocean is different from the waves, you can't have one without the other. Kapila's influence can be seen in Buddhism's analytical approach to understanding reality. The Buddhist concept of namarupa, meaning name and form, echoes Samkhya's dualism, but with a crucial difference. Buddhism sees name, mental aspects, and form, physical aspects, as interconnected parts of experience, not separate realities. Siddhartha took Kapila's idea and gave it a remix, turning philosophical heavy metal into spiritual jazz. This encounter with Samkhya philosophy sharpened Siddhartha's analytical skills and deepened his understanding of the mind-body relationship. It set the stage for his own nuanced view of reality, which would become a cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy. Sometimes you need to learn the rules before you can break them, and break them Siddhartha did. Now let's talk about Yajnavalkya, the OG spiritual rebel. This guy predated Siddhartha by several centuries, but his ideas were like a philosophical time bomb just waiting to explode in Siddhartha's mind. Yajnavalkya was one of the most prominent figures in the Upanishadic tradition, which focused on seeking the ultimate reality, Brahman, and understanding the nature of the self, Atman. Yajnavalkya boldly challenged the rigid orthodoxy of his time, proposing that true understanding comes not from rituals or scriptures, but from direct insight into the nature of self and reality. Imagine a man standing before a gathering of scholars, boldly declaring that their cherished beliefs might be missing the mark. It's like walking into a Star Wars convention and suggesting that maybe, just maybe, Star Trek is better. Scandalous. In one famous debate, Yajnavalkya reportedly said, "The self is not this, not that. It cannot be grasped by thought, yet it is that by which thought is known. It is the unseen seer, the unheard hearer, the unknown knower." Try putting that on a bumper sticker. This idea of an ineffable, experiential truth beyond conceptual understanding deeply resonated with the Indian spiritual tradition. It set the stage for Siddhartha's own emphasis on direct experience over blind faith or intellectual speculation. It's like Yajnavalkya was saying, don't just read the menu, taste the food. Although Yajnavalkya lived centuries before Siddhartha, the Upanishadic tradition he helped shape laid the groundwork for some of Siddhartha's key insights. The Upanishads, with their focus on the nature of consciousness and the ultimate reality, were philosophical challenges that Siddhartha would wrestle with on his path to enlightenment. The concept of Atman, the eternal self, and its relation to Brahman, the ultimate reality, was a puzzle Siddhartha engaged with deeply. However, Siddhartha eventually rejected the notion of an eternal, unchanging self, Atman, in favor of his revolutionary teaching of anatta, which means non-self, the idea that there is no permanent, unchanging essence in living beings. While the Upanishads sought to identify a transcendent, permanent self, Siddhartha realized that true liberation came from seeing the impermanent, ever-changing nature of all things, including the self. It's like Yajnavalkya handed Siddhartha a Rubik's Cube of the soul. Tricky to solve, but oh so satisfying when you do. While Siddhartha diverged from the Upanishadic view of the self, Yajnavalkya's method of rigorous inquiry and emphasis on direct realization became central to the Buddhist approach. The Buddha's famous injunction to be a lamp unto yourself echoes Yajnavalkya's call for personal investigation of truth. It's like Yajnavalkya was the spiritual equivalent of your cool uncle who tells you to question everything, even him. Yajnavalkya's legacy in Buddhism can be seen in the emphasis on meditation and introspection as means of understanding reality. His questioning spirit lives on in the Buddha's encouragement to test and verify teachings through one's own experience. In a way, Yajnavalkya gave Siddhartha permission to think outside the box, and boy, did he run with it. All right, folks, we've reached the main event, the grand finale, the spiritual knockout punch, Buddha's breakthrough. Picture Siddhartha, now in his early 30s, sitting beneath the Bodhi tree. He's absorbed the wisdom of India's greatest sages, pushed his body to its limits, and explored the furthest reaches of consciousness. Yet, the ultimate truth still eludes him. It's like he's played every level of the spiritual video game, but the final boss just won't go down. In this moment, Siddhartha makes a radical decision. Instead of looking outward to teachers or inward to extreme states of mind, he simply observes reality as it is. He watches his breath, notices sensations in his body, and sees thoughts arise and pass away. It's like he discovered that the ultimate cheat code was simply to be here now. As the night deepens, Siddhartha's awareness sharpens. He begins to see the interconnected nature of all things. The boundaries between self and other, mind and body, start to dissolve. In this clarity, he utters words that would echo through history. Wonder of wonders. All beings are already enlightened, yet they don't realize it. They chase after fleeting pleasures and run from imagined fears, failing to see the radiant awareness that's always present. With this insight, Siddhartha becomes the Buddha, the awakened one. He realizes that the truth he sought isn't found in escaping the world, or in losing oneself in altered states. It's in fully embracing and understanding the nature of reality itself. It's like he spent years searching for his glasses, only to realize they were on his head the whole time. The Buddha's breakthrough synthesizes and transcends the teachings of his predecessors. From Alara and Uddaka, he keeps the practice of meditation but reframes it as a tool for insight, not an end in itself. From Mahavira, he retains the emphasis on ethics but rejects extreme asceticism. Kapila's analytical approach finds new expression in the Buddha's detailed examination of experience, and Yajnavalkya's emphasis on direct realization becomes central to the Buddhist path. But the Buddha goes beyond all of these. His middle way avoids the extremes of self-indulgence and self-denial. The middle way became the one path to rule them all, guiding seekers through the spiritual landscape of ancient India. His teaching of non-self challenges both the materialist and eternalist views of his time. And his Four Noble Truths offer a pragmatic approach to addressing suffering that's neither fatalistic nor overly optimistic. It's like he took all the ingredients his teachers gave him and cooked up a completely new dish: Enlightenment surprise. In this breakthrough, the wandering seeker Siddhartha fulfills his quest, becoming the Buddha. And in doing so, he opens a path that countless others would follow, seeking their own breakthrough to lasting peace and freedom. Talk about a plot twist. The student becomes the teacher, and the rest, as they say, is history. All right, truth seekers, we've reached the end of our whirlwind tour through the Buddha's spiritual education. Let's bring it all back home, shall we? These ancient sages, Alara, Uddaka, Mahavira, Kapila, and Yajnavalkya, might seem like characters from a spiritual soap opera set in a galaxy far, far away. But their quest for understanding the human condition? That's as relevant today as a smartphone at a dinner table. Think about it. Don't we still grapple with the same fundamental questions? We seek peace in a chaotic world, yearn for meaning in our lives, and strive to understand our place in the universe. The Buddha's journey, influenced by these great thinkers, offers us a roadmap for our own explorations. It's like they left us a spiritual GPS, minus the annoying recalculating voice. But here's the kicker. The Buddha didn't just rehash old ideas. He took the best of what he learned, tested it against his own experience, and emerged with something revolutionary. His message? The power to find truth lies within each of us. It's like he was saying, hey, you've got the answers inside you. No need to download a spiritual app. So, what does this mean for you right here, right now? Let's break it down. First, it's an invitation to explore. Just as the Buddha learned from various teachers, we too can draw wisdom from diverse sources. Whether it's meditation, philosophy, science, or art, remain open to insights wherever they appear. It's like being at a cosmic buffet. Try a little of everything, but maybe skip the month-old potato salad of outdated dogmas. Second, it's a call to question. The Buddha didn't accept teachings blindly, and neither should we. He learned to test the limits of each teacher's wisdom and move beyond them when necessary. Test ideas against your own experience. Does it ring true? Does it help reduce suffering? That's the litmus test. It's like being a spiritual mythbuster. Don't just believe it, test it. Finally, it's an encouragement to forge your own path. The Buddha's breakthrough came when he stopped following others and trusted his own insight. Your breakthrough might come in a similar way. Remember, the Buddha didn't find enlightenment by scrolling through Instagram or binge-watching Netflix. Though who knows, maybe that's your path. Remember, the Buddha once said, "Do not go upon what has been acquired by repeated hearing, nor upon tradition, nor upon rumor, nor upon what is in a scripture, nor upon surmise, nor upon an axiom, nor upon specious reasoning, nor upon a bias towards a notion that has been pondered over, nor upon another's seeming ability, nor upon the consideration, the monk is our teacher. When you yourselves know, these things are good, these things are not blamable, these things are praised by the wise, undertaken and observed, these things lead to benefit and happiness, enter on and abide in them." In other words, don't just take my word for it, or anyone else's for that matter. The Buddha was basically saying, don't believe it just because I'm rocking this cool robe and serene smile. Test it out yourself. So, as we close this chapter, I challenge you. What wisdom will you seek? What questions will you ask? And what path will you forge? The journey of discovery that began with those ancient sages continues with you. The breakthrough they sought is still possible today. Are you ready to find it? Enlightenment isn't just for robed guys sitting under trees. It's for all of us. Whether we're stuck in traffic, binging on pizza, or trying to figure out why our cat keeps knocking things off the table. The game of life is afoot, and you're the main player. So go ahead, take what you've learned, and level up your existence. And hey, if you found this journey through the Buddha's spiritual education enlightening, pun totally intended, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Who knows? Your next step on the path to enlightenment might just be a click away. Until next time, this is Matt, signing off. Stay curious, stay questioning, and above all, stay awesome. Namaste.